if you want. So a couple of times I got DMs from folks asking me like how to play the monthly or the weekly signals that I put out, right? So I just wanted to go over a few of the ones like, so I don't know if you all saw my note, but based on the monthly post that I made at the beginning of June, there were about 26 stickers on the watch list. Out of those 26, only 8 did not actually work out. The remaining 18 did. So how to actually play those monthly signals? So a couple of things to keep in mind, right? Now, if you're playing off the monthly chart, you want to buy at least a month or 2 months out a contract. Number one. Same thing with the weeklies. With the weeklies, what I usually do is up until Wednesday, I'll play the same week. Wednesday and later, I'll buy the next week's like in a contract. Unless if the next week's contracts are a little cheaper, then I'll buy next week just to buy a little more time, as well as not to have that theta decay, right? And of course, for day trades, again, the same principle. If it's prior to Wednesday, I'm playing the same week's contracts. Wednesday and later, I'm playing next week's contracts, even for a day trade. Scalping, very rarely do I scalp, but if I do, again, it all depends upon the timing and what the contracts look like. So now, as far as the monthly signals, right? Um, 2, 3 come to mind. Initially, there was one. This was the beginning of June, if I'm not mistaken. It was June, or maybe it might have been at the end of May, but it was snow. It was May actually. And I remember Mario and I were discussing it, and I had told Mario that based on how that week closed and how the month was looking for for May, I was like, you know what? Snow was looking pretty bullish. And so when the week closed as a hammer, I told Mario that, and I remember, I don't know if anybody else caught that conversation, but it was specifically with Mario that I was discussing how to actually play it. And I told him, like, if 210 was taken out, if that hammer basically went in force on snow, it could easily take out 232, and sure enough, that's exactly what it did. The following week, the week of the 17th of May, snow ran from 210 all the way up to 232, a $22 move in a single week. Now the question is, how would you actually play this? Obviously, you don't want to play on pure luck, or you don't want to play it as a gamble, right? Because snow, some of these big tickers like ENPH, Snow, Roku, even Microsoft for that matter, a lot of these contracts are pretty expensive. So how would you have actually taken it on the smaller time frames? So let's look at it. So I have the weekly chart up. I'm going to change the properties for this, and let's just call this as the weekly trigger, right? Just so that you guys know what it looks like on the smaller time frame. Now, looking at it on the daily, all right, at when May began over here, this was what actually over here. Okay, this was your trigger, and when May opened up, this week was the week of the 10th, and you had to it would have been the week of the 17th where you would have played this. So somewhere around over here. Now, the main thing with trading is, depending upon what kind of a trader you are, typically off the open, you don't want to you don't want to trade that, because high volatility. For some people that works, because people get in and out quick and they make use of that volatility, and they make their money off of that. For me personally, I'm a lot more patient, or or think of it as me being a slow trader, where unless there is a hold of my triggers, I'm not basically taking that play. So in all honesty, when ENPH for the week of the 17th, you see this over here, it ran up, it reached that level 210.79, it went up to 210.81. At this point, a lot of folks might have actually seen that the call up and may have actually entered. It's a good and a bad thing. A good thing because, like, okay, you're waiting for the trigger to actually take place, and then you're taking the play. The bad thing is you don't know if on the next day that trigger is going to hold, because usually when something runs up like this, invariably there should be a correction. All right, some people will, like, like, whoever entered long over here on this particular day on the 14th is looking to like, to sell and take some profits the following, like, in a week when it opens up. And sure enough, that's what happens. People, like, bring it down to 205, and then it actually starts, running up, and then again there is a pullback, because again, whoever, like, jumped in, they're trying to take their profits. So yeah, when this breaks, this trigger, I always profess that you want to wait for the hold. A lot of people might have jumped the gun, and on the 17th, as soon as it broke the trigger, could have, like, jumped in. Good, only because, the next day snow did not come back to reverse. There was no correction that actually took place on the daily, like, time frames. So you got lucky. But if the next day was, like, some sort of correction because of the kind of run that snow had for 2 consecutive days, then more than likely you would have got either stopped out, or you would have been bag holding. So typically, I would not have entered immediately at the break of this trigger. I would have waited to see if that trigger was holding and if it continued its momentum up. So on this particular day, the 18th, somewhere at some point of time, depending on the smaller time frames, what it looked like, I would have entered over here with my eventual target still being, like, in a 232 for the week. I would have held it. I would have probably played the same week's contract, or at the most, I would have played next week's contract, enter at some point over here, and then continue to ride this till it actually reaches your target. On this day, you see, let's say you opened up, okay, when snow, if you decided, all right, snow has to break 217.74, the previous day's high, that I would consider as my hold, and then I would enter. So let's just say you did enter at this 217 level. The following day, snow opened up at the bottom, 213.72. If you had to panic sell, yeah, more than likely you would have gotten stopped out, number one. Number two, you would have taken a small hit on your, like, contracts. But if you look at the smaller time frames, on the 19th, there was no selling. It opened up over here at 214. It pulled back a little bit to 213.82, about a 50-60 cent move. And then all it did was just, like, buyers stepped in and controlled. If you've been on the Zoom often, and if you've listened to what I've said, I've always said a stock will eventually, after a correction on the smaller time frames, it will eventually go back to trade in the direction of the larger time frames. And at that point of time, the month and the week for snow was green, which means buyers are in control. So whatever, like, minor pullback or minor reversal it has, buyers are going to step back in, because though they are the ones in control on the larger, like, in the time frames. So yeah, you get in over here, you're waiting to see if it actually, like, let's say you diamond or handed this, and you continue to actually hold. At this point, you would have seen nothing but, like, only green, because even on the following day, snow, it opened up at about 227 and reached its target of 232, which at this point, because it reached your target, you get out. Doesn't matter. All it needed was 2 days. The key is, after a break, wait to see if there is some sort of, like, in a corrective activity, because invariably there will be some correction, and then this thing will start to run, number one. Or what could happen is, there could be such bullish, like, momentum, whether it's news or whatever, like, driven, that this thing could just fly right off the bat, and in a single day could have potentially made that $20, like, move. Let's say some news, like, came out, and you might have missed your opportunity. Okay, if you missed the opportunity, that's fine, doesn't really matter, because there are so many other stocks that you could have, like, played, and not necessarily just be stuck on this particular one. You know what I mean? Yeah, it would have been nice if you were able to catch the move, but some stocks do that. They just move so fast that it does not give you an entry. Your entry typically would have been over here, a break of the trigger and then a hold of that trigger is where you would actually want to enter. And the other thing is, look at this. This is a hammer on the weekly. That hammer goes in force. This thing is pretty much going to fly, and that's what you actually want to look for. I I will show you Roku, which was a big play for the month. Actually, Roku, ENPH, Microsoft, there were a bunch of ones that ran for for the month. Let's take a look at ENPH and what ENPH did on the monthly, and how you could have potentially played that. Same thing. ENPH sold off at the beginning of May too, and then eventually buyers stepped in and started buying it up. Now at the end of May, you have your hammer signal, like, okay, if it breaks this 146 50 level, let's just say 146.50, potential targets are going to be the previous month's highs. And you see 175 would be your first target, and 186 would be your second target. And that's what I had for ENPH in the callouts. How would you play this on the smaller time frames? Let's just first start with the actual weekly itself. Again, here's the monthly trigger, right? Let me mark it so it's easier for everybody to see. Your monthly trigger. Okay, June, this opened up. This was 531, and the first your first week of June itself, same thing. And let's look at the daily from over here. This is basically the daily. So this is the month of June from here. Now you had your trigger to be 146.56. Set your alerts, set your alerts on whatever trading platform, and be like, okay, at this monthly trigger, I'm going to look at playing ENPH for a month out or 2 months out, with my eventual targets being either 175 or 186. When this first week opens up and closes, yes, it breaks it about a little bit. It barely breaks, where 146.56, it went up to about 147, and then the following week it pulled back to 143.45, and then it made its move. You see, this is what I was talking about. Here's the break, but then here at this level is the hold. Why? Because that corrective activity took place. After all that selling, people who got long now don't know where things might actually happen. Retail traders especially, market makers know what they're going to do, but retail traders are going to look for profits, because whoever entered the beginning of the week, let's say over here or over here, when they see this and when they see the pullback on the following week, they're going to want to take their profits. And sure enough, that's what happened. It sold off, but then again, buyers stepped in. So wait for that corrective activity, wait for the hold of that trigger, and then you enter your position. Is okay. Even if 146.56 was the trigger, and even if you entered at, let's say, 148 or even 150 for that matter, you have room all the way up to 175 to basically take your profits. You keep your tight stop loss. Like, let's say you entered at about 150, right? Keep the bottom of your of that particular candle to be your stop loss. That, hey, if this thing has to reverse on me, I'm getting out at the bottom of this candle. But see what ENPH did. It did not come back on the weekly up until it hit both its target. You played something that was a month out, and the move was made in 2 weeks. You entered over here, first week, second week, you ran all the way from 150 through 186, which was a $36 move. That would have been on the weekly. How would you have actually taken this trade on the daily? So you see, when I told you at the beginning of the month, here's your 6-7. Okay, it opened up over here, still below your triggers, still below your triggers. Boom, it comes up over here, it breaks your trigger on the 11th, runs up to about 147. The next day also goes up, but you see, corrective activity, because everybody who entered long at the beginning of the month is now they're taking their profits, because you've made a good move. If somebody entered over here 130 through 151, let's say people got in at the beginning of the month, right at the bottom, $20 move right here. So there is going to be some correction that's going to happen. People are going to sell and people are going to take the profits. And you see on the 2 days, That's exactly what happened. If you entered over here, more than likely you would have either gotten stopped out, or if you had waited for the following day in the hopes that this was going to like reverse, you would have like lost money on those contracts, and then you would have sold it only for it to come back and then run up. So that's why once it breaks, wait to see what happens, wait for that corrective activity, and then when the trigger holds, that's when you jump in. So at this point, once it breaks the high of this particular candle, get in over here, like I said, 147 something, or even 150 if you want to play it really safe, and keep the break even as your stop loss. And then you see, all it did was, let's say you entered like somewhere over here, it never pulled back. So at this point, all you're doing is you're just sitting on gains. You could have added your contracts depending upon however you trade, however you scale in, add your contracts, and then just keep holding it till it hits your targets. But you see, wait for that break and hold. Yes, it broke over here, but nothing held. I mean, like over here, yes, you could argue and say, you know what, Harsh, this like this again ran up, this could be a hold over here, this could be like but I got stopped out. Yes, only because you have to understand, at the beginning, whoever went like long is going, there is going to be some corrective activity. Look at this, higher low, higher low, higher low. Then yeah, over here also people tried to sell it a little bit, but nothing really happened. Buyers stepped in and bought it up. Here's another higher low, here's another higher low. So you see, when there are consecutive higher lows like this from the beginning of the month, there is going to be some selling, there is going to be some like corrective activity. People are going to want to take profits, and that's the time you want to wait for that pullback, and then like take your entry, wait for that hold, and then and you see, I mean, like it yes, when you look back on it, it seems really like simple, but in all honesty, if you have to really follow that break and hold rule, then more than likely you would have probably entered somewhere over here, or over here, never to have the stock come back and burn you up until it reached its target. Like like a $36 move in like 2 weeks is not bad at all. I mean, like it's right here, and that's why your targets are like are pretty crucial. Roku did the same thing too. Like even Roku also, when I was playing Roku on the monthly charts, it was the exact same like concept. People sold it off, it consolidated the following month, the month of April. Then again, like people sold it off the month of May, but then buyers stepped back in and started like buying it up. It's a beautiful looking hammer. Same thing, you mark your entries and your exits and look at it. Once you had to break the 356 level, you were running up to four, like you were running up to 429. When I gave my levels, I think if I'm not mistaken, I only gave it up to 398. But Roku went like went further up beyond that. And same thing, if you had to play it on the daily or the weekly, this is what you would have done. This is like here's June. It Once it broke it on the weekly level, yeah, you could have held, you could have entered it over here, or you could have entered, let's say, depending upon the daily, let's say around that 360 mark, and then held it all the way up too. Because on your time frames, look at the daily time frames. I told you, here's the break. Okay, this was your monthly trigger. um, all right, here's your monthly trigger. Here's the break on the 14th. But see what happened after that. Here's a here's a low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, a little bit, another higher low, another higher low. When you have like these consecutive higher lows, right? People are buying it up, but eventually there is going to be some sort of correction. People have to take the profits and reinvest it somewhere else. And sure enough, on this day, on the 14th, yeah, it broke the monthly trigger. But and you could have entered over here. More than likely, the next day or the following 2 days, you would have been panicking because it pulled back and you were screwed. Like over here, you would have cut it because you would have thought Roku's like is going to like dump. Let me get out of my contracts, only to see it like come back and make the move that you were expecting. So after that break, wait for the hold. If the next day ran up and continued its momentum like this, then yes, enter on the following day. Even if it's not right at the break of the trigger, doesn't matter. Even if you take it at like 365, let's say, You have room all the way to 398 and 429. Who cares if you get in at about 365 or even 370? If depending upon whatever your trading style is and whatever rules you follow, even if you got in, let's say at the break of this candle at 368, still good. $30 move to 398, freaking $60 move to 429. How much more do you how much more do you want? Right? So you have to wait for that hold. You could say okay, it broke over here, let's see what happens the next day. Boom, you could have probably entered like I said 365, or even at 368, or the break of the previous day candle, because let's say that's what you see as the hold of the trigger. Get in over here and hold it through. You see, there is no reversal on you. Keep this as your, let's say this was your entry, keep it as your stop loss, that if it reverses on you the next day, you get out. If not, just continue to hold or keep adding to your contracts eventually for it to reach 429 and you take your gains. It seems very simple when you look back on it, but as I said, as long as you understand the break, the corrective activity, and then the hold of the triggers, it's very easy to play any of these tickers. Any of these tickers. There are a lot of tickers on the month and the quarter which are closing as hammers. You would do the exact same thing. Let the trigger happen. Wait for that corrective activity, and once it comes back to break and hold, then make your play. If that does not happen, and if the stock just runs away from you, that's all right. Play something else. There are hundreds and hundreds of tickers that are available that you can play. You don't have to harp on or regret the fact that you weren't able to capture this move. It's okay. Play something else. That's pretty much all I had. Any questions? Let me see. Roku looks like it's about to cup and handle. Roku breaking out. Okay, no questions. So yeah.
Thanks, Hirsch.
Okay.
Thank you, Hirsch.
Sure.
Thank you, Hirsch.